Hello and welcome back to my craft room. I'm doing a bit more work on my treasury of stitches today. That's the little kind of keepsake fabric journal that I'm making to put all of my swap squares, the little squares of stitchery that I got in the first two great big little stitchery swaps. I skipped the last one. I sat out the last swap to give myself time to work on putting the swaps I'd already got into these books so that I could just thought it would be a really nice way to keep them. But I still haven't done it, and the next swap starts at the beginning of October, so I really want to focus on getting these done now. I've done a little bit more work since the last video, so I thought I'd show you that, and I'm going to do a bit of Shisha embroidery, then start on the next page. So I thought you might like to join me for that. So let's have a look at what I've been up to. You can see I've done a boo-boo here. I'll tell you about that in a minute. This is the beautiful square that the lovely Paula Lister sent me from New Zealand. She actually sent me two squares. So the other one is this one. So I want these to be facing each other on opposite pages to each other in my finished book. So this one will go like this. And the idea, if you haven't seen any of my previous videos, is that for each page I will embroider the person's name, create a background that is in some way inspired by the stitching of the square that I was sent. So with this one I've still got a little bit, just one little thing I want to do on here because my cutting was a bit crooked here. I've done blanket stitch down the edge. I want to bead down the edge as well. I've just got this little gap here, so I've got this tiny scrap of it's a scrap of fabric from a bazaar pack, and I just thought I'm just going to put that in there to just fill the space. I think that'll look really nice. I just stitch it down. I just think it'll add a little bit of texture. So with this one I also did, because Paula done a lot of beautiful thread painting, she sent me some of these fabrics as well. So straight stitching, thread painting, sparkle, blanket stitch. You know, the idea is that I'll take elements, colour, stitches, ideas from each of the squares to create the background. So I've done a little bit of thread painting of my own just in this corner. I've put Paula's name there. I've used some of the stitches that Paula has used for that one. This is where my front cover will eventually go on. This is my square by Annie Cran. I talked all about that last time, so I won't distract myself this time. So these will sit opposite each other, and these both these squares feature New Zealand plants and birds, and because they're both made by Paula, they belong together for me. So I put squares together because they look, because their colours coordinate, or they're similar in style, or made by the same person, or similar theme, or whatever. This one, I had various ideas I went over last time. And this is what I've got so far. So the fabrics that Paula's used in this one, I think they were scraps from the bazaar scrap packs. So they're all fabrics that come from India, kind of reclaimed, rescued fabrics. You can see there's some sheer in here, there's some sequins and bees, these sort of flat-backed gems here, lots and lots of thread painting. Paula sent me some of the this fabric, and the fabric that this was cut from. I got a little piece of the fabric handy. I've still got another whole bird there to use for something else. So I've done thread painting on this one as well. We used slightly different colours and things, you know, so it's inspired by it. I'm not trying to replicate what Paula has done, but be inspired by it. I used my Inktense pencils to extend. So I cut around this branch and I extended it out, the greenery out with Inktense pencils, and then stitched into it. And I did a chain stitch and then whipped it with a different thread, and then whipped it again and couched a bit, and just to make the branches kind of knobbly and very, I don't know how well you'll be able to see, but you can see they're quite sort of three-dimensional. So the bird, the original piece that I cut out of the fabric, was just tacked onto this background. Then I put a square of this sheer purple fabric over the top, and I thought that kind of echoed the sheer fabric here in the colours. You can see the colours very much reflect what Paula used, because I quite liked the idea of doing that and then thread painting over the top So I just end up with this sort of soft purpley background. Paula had done a lot of this straight stitching in the background, and I always love that masses of straight stitching. So I've done it slightly differently, slightly different colour. I've done it in all different directions. Well, not all different directions. I've followed the contour of the bird. And then to kind of reflect these and the sequins, I've got a few little bits which I've lost now. Hang on, no, there they are. So these actually came out of the Bazaar scrap packs. You can see they're sequins, but they're like a kind of... And then I've got these little Shisha mirrors, also came in the Bazaar scrap packs. So I thought I would put one of these down here. So it's just adding that little bit of twinkle, and then I've also got some beads knocking around in here. Happen to be in with the Shisha mirrors, and they're a kind of a pinks and greens there. I think they'll fit in nicely, so I'm going to dot them around as well. The way I'm putting these pages together, the way I intended to put them together, was just to put them face to face, stitch around, turn them the right way out, and end up with this. Somehow I've managed to make this little pair of pages, or this little one page, slightly smaller this way than the other, so I've gone right out to there with my leaves, and I'm going to leave that because I'll probably have to just I'm going to have to fudge this edge. I won't know till I put them together. We'll see how that turns out. Now my big mistake here was this. Can you guess what happened? Yep, I ended up doing a lot of this embroidery with this attached. I went through both thicknesses, and I started unpicking with some of it, unpicked it and did it again, and I thought, oh, this is ridiculous, because it was all of this as well. I just thought, no. So I just cut it off, and what I thought is, by the time I come to do the other page, which will actually have this one on, because it will be, so I'm having to do for each kind of double page spread, I've got 2 layers of fabric. So this is how it will open. These will be the next pages, and then there. So if I take them out of the way, you can see that this one ends up on here. So it's okay, because I'm going to do a kind of colourful fabric background for this one. So that will be hidden, and it will be attached to the back of these as well. So you won't even see that hole. Talk about what a dimwit. So what I'm probably going to use there is these gorgeous fabrics that were sent to me by Nancy. Now Nancy's square I've already put in the first book I made, and at that point I wasn't using fabric in the background. So for that first book I've just used a simple calico background, and all of the detail is in stitching. This time I'm using fabrics, so I can't put these beautiful little pieces of fabric that Nancy sent me with her square. So I'm going to use them here. They're so gorgeous, these lovely batik fabrics, and I just think they're going to look so nice with this one, and they will cover that hole. I've got more than enough. I can get at least 2 pages out of these, or maybe I'll use some of them in the cover as well. I had so many beautiful treats. I have been sent so many lovely things over the couple of years, 2 or 3 years now I suppose, since I've been doing this channel, since we started the swap. I forget who sent me what sometimes. With some of these things I've got people's names clipped on there. So that's there. That won't be today. So we can put that all to one side for a minute. My hope is that I'm going to be able to put this onto this hoop to make the Shisha work a bit easier. It's not gone on terrifically tightly, but I think that'll be okay. Right. I will have to press it afterwards, I expect, but that'll be fine. Okay, and now what I'm hoping is I can also put it onto this stand, so I'll be able to, I wouldn't normally use this, I only really use it when I've been filming, but it'll just make it a little bit easier to be able to show you exactly what I'm doing. They are really handy, these things. Can't make it any lower, so, but I think that'd be alright. Yeah, that'll just hold it nice and close to the camera for you to be able to see without me having to try and hold it up like this. I've just got to hope that I can also see what I'm doing. The other thing I'm going to do before I stitch this over the top of the pages, I think I'm going to turn these ends in, because when we made the squares, what we said was it's going to be a 10 centimetre or 4-inch square, but leave an extra centimetre all around the outside, or half an inch or so, you know. Just, I mean, you could stitch over all of that if you want, but that you know, this is essentially just like a kind of a frame or a seam allowance, because some people liked to turn them into quilts or mount them on a panel, or you know, stitch them into books like me. There were lots of different things people were doing, framing them. So this is just kind of spare, and mostly what I've done is use this to attach my squares to the page of my book. Usually I'll just stitch it along the top so it can open up, because I always like to see the back. But I think in this case, because I've got a kind of natural colour background, and this is white, and I don't think it particularly does anything for the piece itself. I think it will look prettier if I turn all the edges under. I'll do a blanket stitch, or maybe that German knotted blanket stitch again. It will sit on the page like that. I think the sheer fabric that I've used underneath will come out just a little bit further and will just show, which I think will be really pretty effect. So this time I'll stitch it down. I'll stitch there but have it flat down that way. Yeah, so that's my plan with that at the moment. But anyway, first things first, let's see if I can still remember how to do Shisha. There's different ways of doing Shisha embroidery. The way that I do it is because it's the way I find it easiest, and of course you can get really, really decorative, but this is going to be really basic. I'm not going to do anything too fancy. I normally, for most things, I will tend to use 2 strands of a 6-stranded embroidery cotton. I could use some crochet cotton for this. For these, most of this thread painting, I just use a single strand. I think I've got some purple crochet cotton. Thinking about that now. No, I think that'd be quite good. I'm going to try this first. Let's hope it works. Okay. I've got a reasonable length, but not too long. I don't want it all knotting. I'm trying to choose the right needle. I want a needle with a big eye, but I want it with a nice sharp point to go through easily. I think this one will do. Okay. And I'm just going to come up from a knot at the back, because you're not going to see the back of this piece. I'll put my little Shisha piece just here. That looks like a nice little spot for it, doesn't it? Okay, so that's where it's going to go, and I'm going to come up just to one side of the centre of it. Oh, sorry. There's the centre of my circle. I've gone just to one side of it, and now I'm going right across to the other side. So you can see it's kind of only just off the centre line. Okay, so now I'm going to do a line across here. Again, if that's the centre, I'm going just away from the centre. So this is tricky. I can't quite see what I'm doing. I'm having to look at the camera, at the screen, rather than at what I'm actually doing. I hope I'm going to get this about right. Straight across there. Okay. So the next line is going to go across here. So it's going to go back to here. Whoops. Come up there. And now I'm going to go across this way. Now I want this line, so I'm going back to here. It's coming just a little bit near the centre. It looks like you're going too near the centre. You think, well, how is that going to leave a hole in the middle? But it does. It does when you've done when you've finished. You'll see. And now we're going straight across that way. And now I'm going to do the same kind of a little grid, except this time I'm going to rotate it all 45 degrees, I suppose it is. So I'm going to do the grid there and there and there and there. So the first one I'm aiming to go across there. I'll come up between those two. Whoops. And I'm going to go across there, just off the centre again. It feels like you're not leaving a big enough hole in the centre, but it does work out, I promise. Okay, so the next one has got to go across this way. Oop. So I'm going to come up there. And go across to there. Next one's going to go that way. So I'm going to come up, oops, here, woo, and go across to there. I hope it's making sense. I didn't come in far enough with that last one. I'm going to take that out and do that one again. Okay. And then the last one is going to go across this way. Essentially all you're doing is catching this thing down to hold it in place, and then you go around again and do all the stitching to create the sort of eyelet effect. Okay, so this last one is going across there. And when you do all the stitches around the outside, kind of like buttonhole stitches, really, blanket stitches, that little, what looks like a tiny hole in the middle there, becomes larger. So if it's too big at this stage, it just comes off altogether and the mirror will escape. Okay, so that's all my sort of grid stitches, and now I need to come up at the side. Don't think it matters where I start here. I'm just going to come up between one of these stitches, and I'm just going to do a series of little stitches around the outside. I'm just going to take a little stitch along, and then, whoops, I'll just go back a little way so the stitches will overlap. So I'll come up there and I'll go just a little bit further along again. So each time I take a stitch along, and then I go back to about halfway along it, really close, come up really close to it, and then go along again. It's almost like a weird kind of back stitch, I suppose. And I'm going to do that all the way around the edge. I'm just coming to the end, oops, of this little circle of stitches now, so I will just overlap that last little stitch, and now I've got this whole row of small straight overlapping stitches all around the outside of that ring. I'm hoping you can see that clearly enough. So now I'm just, because this isn't long enough now to finish the whole job, I'm going to fasten this off here. Oh, I seem to have managed to catch things up at the back. Good job it's not going to show. This is an absolute mess at the back. Real embroiderers, look away now. But that's okay, as long as it won't come undone and it's not going to show from the right side. I don't care. I do not care. Look at that, look at the back. What a mess. I've got my new piece already threaded up, and I'm just going to come up just outside that little ring of overlapping stitches, don't really matter where, and I'm going to go into that hole in the centre and then underneath that little stitch, that little outside ring stitch, and I'm going to pull through, making sure that my thread is coming out on top of that loop so it catches it, you know, like a buttonhole stitch will, blanket stitch would. So leaving my thread coming away in this direction, going into the hole, into that, out underneath that outside ring stitch, over the top of my loop, and pull it tight. And you've got to like not pull it, I say pull it tight, don't pull it too tight. If you pull it too tight, you'll open the hole up too wide and the mirror will fall out. You've got to pull it sort of reasonably firmly, but not tight, and sort of balance it up as you go around the ring. I don't think it's going to be enough to put one stitch in each of these ring stitches. I think I'm going to put two in each of the ring stitches, using a thicker thread than I'm used to, but I think that'll work out okay. And if you can't get it all in one go, just pull it part way through like that. So this is what I do anyway, and then pick up the little stitch, the little ring stitch. Oh, this is holding it up beautifully to the camera, but I can't actually see it. The other way I've done it is to kind of, as you don't do that sort of ring of stitches first, you create those as you're doing this bit. So I've done it both ways. I don't know which I prefer. I think this feels a bit more straightforward, but it's a little bit more awkward. I'm finding it now, getting my needle under these stitches. So, do you know, if I do another one, I'll try it the other way. Okay, I'm going to finish the rest of this one and then come back and I'll maybe do another one and show you the other way of doing it. I've finished stitching that one around. It's not a perfect job, but I've got a different, I'm going to try a different method in a minute. So now I've just done a little line of back stitch around there and whipped it, and I'm going to just do a kind of inside out blanket stitch now. I just want it to, oh, did that wrong. I just want it to look a little bit like the flowers. Just want it to kind of echo the flowers in Paula's square. Oops. I'm so used to doing this. I'm not used to doing this stitch. It's such an easy stitch to do, but I'm not used to doing it in a frame where you put the needle down and to the back and then come up again. I'm used to doing it all in one movement and it's confusing me. So yeah, it's going to be different, but it'll have the same, you know, that sort of circular motif to you know, reminiscent of some kind of a blossom or something. I think when I do the next one, I'm going to go for a lighter purple, just because I'm hoping that'll show up better on the camera. Because although this is working in some ways, for a start I can't see it very well. And for another thing, because the purple is quite dark, the camera's going a bit funny, so it's not ideal. Okay, so I'm going to finish this, re-thread my needle with some lighter purple, and start a new Shisha. I'm going to put it there. I'll get it to the point where I've done the grid over the top, and then when I come to do the bit that's different from what I did this time, I'll be back. I've done the same thing again with making the little kind of grid to hold the mirror in place. Now this time I'm going to do a kind of a wider ring holding it in place. I think it'll look quite nice like a flower. I'm hoping you'll be able to see it better with this colour of thread as well. And I'm sort of following a tutorial. I'll put a link to that because it shows it really well. So I'm going to end up with, I need 2 rings. I'm too lazy to draw it on here and then worry about having to remove the heat erasable pen. So I'm just going to guesstimate this. I'm going to come up. I'm imagining 2 rings around here. This is the outer ring. So one other ring here. This is the outer ring. So I'm coming up there, and I don't mind if this ends up a bit erratic because it's a flower. So I'm now going into that little centre hole again, coming out underneath the stitches there. I'm going just slightly to one side, and now I'm imagining this inner ring. I'm going to go in at that inner ring and then come up at the outer ring like that. So I'm doing like a big blanket stitch, really, buttonhole stitch, eyelet stitch, I'm not sure what it would be called. So again, going back to the centre, in under those grid stitches, down at my imaginary inner ring, and back up again at my imaginary outer ring, and making sure that my thread comes out over the top of the loop there. I think this will look quite cute. I'm going to run out of thread partway through, and I'm hoping that's not going to be a problem, but it might be. But it's all part of the learning process. Yeah, quite like this. Try not to pull too hard again because I don't want I don't want to pull all the stitches kind of to one side. I want it to be even all the way around. And it might turn out that I want these stitches to be closer together, but I'm going to do it like this first. If need be, I'll unpick it and do it again till I'm happy with it. But you can kind of see where that's going. I quite like it in this thicker thread as well. This time I've used all 6 strands of a stranded cotton. I think it works better than this. So I'm going to carry on work my way around. I might have to start a new thread on the way, and I'll come back and show you how it looks. I'm quite happy with how that's going now. I like the contrast between this great big thick stitching here with all 6 strands and this finer straight stitching here with just the one strand of embroidery floss. I quite like the look of that. I'm going to go back to the purple now, and I just want to do the tutorial I've been following. Does a little sort of straight line with a French knot at the end, like I think they're called pistil stitches. So I'm going to do that as well. So she just takes a straight stitch out, wraps the thread a couple of times and pops it down again. And you could like do it, you know, draw another ring and make it very uniform. I'm going to make it deliberately long and short or whatever, just not all the same. I just think that'll add a fun little bit of detail. I'm just going to do one at the end of each of these little spokes. Just wrap it around a couple of times. So this one I'll make it a bit longer, I think. in shorter again. Oop, can't really see. This is such an awkward angle. Yeah, it's quite cute. It looks like to me like some kind of exotic flowers or something. If I had my time again, I would love to have the opportunity to have travelled to New Zealand and Australia. I've possibly even lived there for a while. But it's not likely to happen now. I love it when some of my online friends share pictures and videos and things of where they live. So different, and it's always really strange the difference in time zones and things as well. Difference in seasons. Yeah, quite like that. And it's sort of, you know, it is echoing the design that Paula did. So I'm still going to put my one more there. Probably this sequin. So put it there. So put it there. And I've got this shinier one there. I'll do that. Quite like that. And then I'll dot some of the beads around as well. So I'm going to keep on doing this. I think when I put the sequins on, I'll probably do some kind of radiating stitches to hold them on as well. I need to do some more of this straight stitching in the fine blue thread to fill in the rest of this background, and then I'll be ready to. I'll just hem this with a blanket stitch or German knotted blanket stitch. Put those together. I think I'm pretty much done here. I did try dotting a few of the beads around and just decided it was too much. I'm just going to content myself with filling in some more of this blue stitching, which I will do a bit later off camera. Look at my messy backside. Doesn't matter, no one will see it except us chickens. So I can take this out of here now. I did put the sequin there and I just did some stitches radiating out from the centre. So, you know, I've got a little bit of twinkle there to reflect what Paula did. Next thing is to do a blanket stitch around here. So I'm going to do that now. I think maybe I'll use the purple around this bit and I use the rest of this green silk thread around the green bit. So a couple of people recently have asked about basic stitches that I use all the time for my slow stitching, and I'm happy to show them as I go along. I would also suggest that if you want to improve your repertoire of stitches, go and check out Creating Craft with Christine. She is so good. She did a dictionary of stitches. Started at the wrong end. She did a dictionary of stitches which I'm following along with. I'm making my vintage stitchery, which is following along with Christine's dictionary stitches and also adding in a few of my own as well. It's a really lovely series. She's got a playlist of about 175 videos there, but they're all quite little short and sweet ones. She did them as live premieres at the time. It was really fun because we all would get together and join the live chat while we watched together along with Christine. And yeah, it's just really good for, you know, improving your repertoire of stitches, expanding your repertoire of stitches. So this was one that she showed. Instead of just doing a normal blanket stitch, you do the first one like that, you do the second one, I hope I'm remembering this right, and then you go back underneath those two little kind of legs of the stitch and pull it up so it pulls it together into that little triangle. It just looks really cute, so just go along again and go along to the next one. And the next one, and go back under the arms again. And I just think they just look like little people holding hands to me. They really do, which is quite nice when it's sort of all about celebrating the community that built up around all of our slow stitching and this incredible experience that the Stitchery swap was. I just think it's really nice to do that. I've used it on here as well. I think I showed earlier, and what I'm going to do is go back along. I could add beads as I go, but then I'd have to get a different needle. But I'm going to go along. I've got so many beautiful beads that I don't really use anymore, and I'm going to use these. Maybe I should see if I can find some smaller ones, but I thought I'd put one at the top of every stitch so it looked like the little head of the little person. That's a little bit too big, really, that big. Maybe this would be better. It's a better size. I might put those. Yeah, the colour's perfect as well. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to add little beads all along here so it looks like lots of little people with little blue heads. So I'll do that. I've still got to add this little scrap on here as well. I'll just do it with a bit of straight stitch. I love using up these really, really tiny scraps. It's a shame to waste them, isn't it? I'll show that next time I come on. So yeah, I'm gonna finish all of that and put it together. I'm going to wind this video up for now. Next time I come back, I'll have got this will be all finished. And I'll be starting to put this together, which will cover up that hole. And then that will make this side of this signature finished. Then I've got the next two to move on, which is going to be these two. I think for this one, which came from Nicole in Canada, I think I'm going to try and create my own background here with some inks or something, ink tents maybe. And there's lots of beading here as well, and some of this turkey work. So that's what I'll be doing with that one. I haven't quite decided with this one yet, but I really want to bring in this beautiful printed embroidery border that Sandy sent. I just think that'd be really cute, and I can do it in similar colours to what Sandy's used, and I've also got some antique lace and things that I can bring in. So there's beading on there, and there's beading on there. Lovely little paper bead there. So that's what I'll be, the rick rack, that's what I'll be bringing into this one. And then when all four of those sides are done, they will be put together. They should go face to face together and be stitched all around. I'm going to have to fluff a little bit because this one is bigger than this one, and I think it's this bigger one that is the right size, so I'll have to fudge a little bit, but it'll be fine. And I will be back in a few days just to show you how I'm getting on with that. I just love this process. Every single square that was sent to me is such a treasure and such an inspiration, and to think that I'm going to have these books then to keep forever. Every time I want a little bit of inspiration, I just want to lift my spirits a little bit, flick through there. Lovely. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know in the comments what if you joined in either of the last 3 swaps. What are you going to do with your squares? I mean, I've got about 60 or more squares to keep. So it's different if you because you couldn't just swap one square or half a dozen squares. You haven't got to go nuts and swap as many as I did. I took on too much the first time. I was just overwhelmed. I just didn't want to say no to anybody, and it was just brilliant. I had a whole 2 months of opening little packages almost every day. It was fantastic, and I cried every time. But yeah, you don't have to go mad like that. It's not necessary. And of course, if you've only got, say, half a dozen, you can just make a little panel or stitch them onto a Japanese rice bag, or make a little pouch with them, or whatever. There's so many different things you can do. So yeah, share your ideas for what you've done with your squares in the comments. That'd be really interesting. And also, don't forget to share pictures. Oh, by the way, speaking of that, I am finishing up the gallery this week, ready to go live at the end of the month. So that is a gallery. I made a gallery, 2 separate galleries for the first 2 swaps. This isn't like in the Facebook group or the Discord community or anything. This is a separate website. So I did one the first 2 times. This time I asked people to please send me photos rather than me having to go look for them. But I've seen I've seen hundreds of beautiful squares posted in the Facebook group that haven't come to me. So if you haven't yet sent me photos of your squares that you made and sent out for the swaps, not the ones you received, the ones that you sent out, please send them to me by email. I will put my link tree in the description box, so if you go to the link tree you'll find my email address there. Ideally I need photos that just show the square, the whole square, straight on, the whole square, nothing but the square. Best lighting that you can. It's too loud. I mean, your squares will already have gone out now, but remember this for next time. Take the best picture you can, straight on. If you take it at a funny angle, it comes like this shape. Take it in the best natural light you can find. I tend to do it in my conservatory or the bathroom because I've got windows from different directions there, so could try that. Just don't take it on your lap with a cat sat half across it in yellow electric light at night time, because they doesn't do them justice. And you've spent all that time making that beautiful square. At least take a good picture of it, and then I can add it to the gallery. You need to also tell me your name as you would like it displayed in the gallery. You don't have to put your full name, you can use a nickname or whatever you want to do. If you want a link to your Instagram or YouTube or whatever, 1 link per photo, just let me know what that is and I will add that, and also which country you're in, just so I can put you in the right section in the gallery. If you didn't do the swap that's just gone, swap number 3 that's just finished, but you've got photos of squares you made for either of the first 2 swaps, I can still add them in. Just let me know when you email me, let me know which swap they were for and I'll put them in the right gallery. If I think about it, I'll put links to the first 2 galleries in the description box for this one. It is lovely. It's just lovely to see hundreds of squares that have been made all over the world, all together in one place. It's such an inspiration. It's a great place to go to get some ideas for the next swap as well. And just really moving to see them all together, to see all the beautiful pieces of stitchery that people made for each other. So it's a shame not to include them all, and I know I've got quite a few to go in there. It'll be a good gallery, but I know there's lots and lots, hundreds that haven't been sent to me. I've reminded lots of times. Maybe people just don't want to, I don't know, but I can't really keep on hassling about it, which is what I'm doing now. But it's not too late. If you're seeing this retrospectively, I can always add them in, so please do send them to me. Okay, that's quite enough waffle for me. Thank you very much for joining me today. I really appreciate it, and I will see you again really soon.